Welcome to another episode of the Terri and Frank Show. If you saw the last episode, you know we're on this theme of people unproductive, these really just negative people that you just hate working with in the workplace. We're going to talk about who they are, how to deal with them. And I promised you after the last one, the low empathy leader, today we're going to talk about bullying. Bullies do exist in the workplace, actually. Unfortunately, 20% of adults in the workplace who were surveyed said that they had experienced bullying. That's a lot of people. Looks like, over 50% of the bullies are managers. The rest of them are really coworkers. And you find this thing is very prevalent. And you also find that, unfortunately, these kids who you left behind on the playground found their way into the workplace. Terri, what's your experience with this?
Yes, they absolutely have invaded the workplace. They never learned how to play and cooperate with other children, and they just came right into the workplace, and the
Yeah.
same thing is happening all over again. Some of it, I think, is selfishness, but some of it, I think, stems from having other areas of their life where it's just in a
Mhm.
disarray, where things are just kind of falling apart, whether it's at home with your spouse or your children. You find yourself with all of these emotions and frustrations, and what the bullies are doing is bringing that into the workplace and bullying others, almost because they are being bullied at home in a way. So now they're bullying others in the workplace. Some of it's that, some of them, they just never learned, like you said, they just never learned how to be a kind human. They
Yeah.
have
Right.
just really not ever
Empathy.
been a kind human in their life. And so they've been able to get away with some things, and they feel like that's the way to go.
Oh,
That's the
yeah.
way you climb the corporate ladder, is by just stepping over people and making everyone around you small so you can be great. And
Yeah.
that is the absolute worst philosophy to live by.
Yeah, for sure. And you're right. They diminish others. They played on the playground, whatever tactics evolved for them, they've used some of them successfully in different situations, but they failed to learn to be kind, to be helpful, to share, to be collaborative. And they don't realize that's just a far better method of getting ahead. However, they can be very dangerous adversaries, especially if they're in a management position. Some of them are very successful and they move up and they are quick to spot weakness and hone in on it. They've spent their life doing it, and they move ahead at the expense of others, really.
Yeah. And it's quite sad because once you learn the people skills and how to get along with others and share resources,
Uh-huh.
your your professional life can be so much more enriched by sharing the load with others instead of trying to pick off people like you're at a game and you're hunting for deer, or you're just
Yeah,
picking people off one at a time because you feel like they're a threat to you, as opposed to doing it that way of recognizing that everybody has resources they bring to the table. Everybody has something that they can contribute. So why not allow each person to do what they do best? And then now we all get to benefit from it, as opposed to trying to strip people of who they are and forcing them to do things for you or to be someone that they're not. We all could benefit from just being ourselves and bringing what we bring to the table and allowing that to be there for the entire group.
absolutely. It's such a shame that, they don't see that and they haven't learned over time to actually be more collaborative and to be part of the team. But, they do all different things, right? Sometimes they want to put you down so they could be the center of attention. They want to poke fun at
Right.
you. Other times they want to interrupt you to throw you off your game. We had talked about that earlier, actually.
Yeah. Yeah.
And
Sometimes just throwing in, you're having a conversation and they just don't really follow or maybe don't understand what you're saying. And instead of admitting that as a weakness, they'll just change the topic or throw something in that has nothing to do with what you're talking about. But they want to change the conversation and shift it back to what they know. So they end up just throwing in random pieces of information to throw you off. And you have to realize that that's what's happening, and recognize that you don't have to go down that rabbit trail.
Hmm.
You can bring them back on focus to say, no, this is what we're talking about. We're not going to go down the rabbit trail. But a lot of it is just insecurity.
Yeah.
It really boils down to insecurity.
Yeah, if they're trying to use diversion, you can say, thank you for bringing that up. Let's put that over here in the parking lot. We're going to get back to it, but let's just stick to what we're talking about here and finish it up. But thank you.
Right.
Thank you for that. And
Right.
that, politely shuts them down. I think one of the key things with them is not to let them get over on you, because then they realize they've got an easy victim.
Yeah. Yeah. You've got to stand up for yourself.
You
You
do.
have to recognize that that person is really trying to bully you. They're trying to steamroll over you. They're trying to take your work as their own, or any number of things that bullies have tried to do in the workplace. But you really do have to stand up for yourself, and you don't have to be rude. You don't have to
No, it's better
just,
not to be.
right. You can really stand your ground and still be polite and still be professional, but you have to let people know that they cannot just stand and walk all over you. But you have to stand up for that.
Mhm.
Others in the room can try to stand up for you. And I've seen that happen as well, where the bully is just in the middle of the room bullying somebody. And then others try to stand up for that person. And it may work for that short period of time, but the next opportunity they get to bully that person, they're going to do it again, because
Oh, yeah.
that person has not stood up for themselves.
They'll be
So,
encouraged, and they're going to want to
yeah,
actually finish the attack because
right,
they didn't like
right,
the fact they didn't succeed. So they're going to be
right.
even more emboldened in a different set of circumstances with different people around. They'll go for that individual again.
Yeah, they'll keep going for them until that person stands up and
Yeah.
puts a stop to it.
I mean,
So,
most companies, do have, policies around not, intimidating and bullying people, right?
yeah,
The world is better. Years ago, they didn't have that actually. You were really on your own. So, you can document these things and get support, because those people are really, really unproductive. They're destroying, the human capital of the company.
yeah,
And it's very costly because people go into depression. They take more sick days. They leave the company. Very good people who, don't find the place inviting, move on. It's a
yeah,
real issue.
yeah, it is. It's very difficult to stay in a work environment where you don't feel safe. I mean, it goes back to
Yeah.
culture that we talked about before. You've got to have that safe environment for people to thrive. If they're not feeling like they are being taken care of, that their
Yeah.
manager has their back, they're going to not feel safe, and they will not bring their best to the table. And that's just the way it is. And you have to really, like you said, you really have to deal with that bullying situation very quickly before it escalates, because it will continue to escalate. It
Yeah.
will just continue to get worse and worse and worse. It'll start with something small, and then it will just mushroom into the biggest blow up in the middle of the office. So you really do have to deal with those things head on, because it destroys the culture and the fabric of the entire team. So it's not just about the bully and the person that they're bullying, but it's about the entire team.
Yeah. And
Everyone
honestly,
has,
oh, go on, go on. Sorry, I cut you off.
well, I was just going to say everyone feels the effects of it, right? So when it's happening, you wonder, how do I intervene? You feel like you need to help the person, you want to
Mhm.
stand up for them. But, ultimately, everybody feels the pain of this process where you have this person that is just trying to dominate someone else.
Yeah, and I will say, as a middle manager or senior leader, you've got to just tune in and make sure people feel comfortable coming to you, because it is your job to root out this type of really negative, destructive behavior. Make sure the people who are doing it, that you learn about it and that you stop it. Because you
Yeah.
can. They're not going to want to take on the people above them. They actually manipulate the people above them.
Yeah. Yeah. It's that throwing a rock and hiding your hand.
Mhm.
kind of person, that they don't want you to see the things that they're doing that are destructive. They only want to show you all of the good things and the positive side of them. They won't ever let you see that negative side. And as people are talking about them, it's difficult because the manager, leader, or upper management has only seen the positive side. They wouldn't
Absolutely.
dare bully the upper management,
Oh,
right? They would
no, no,
never
far too
bully
clever.
anyone in that level. But for people that are their peers or their subordinates, they would bully them all day.
Mhm.
So it's almost like a Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde kind of a scenario where you feel like it's two different people and you
Yeah,
don't really know which person is going to show up at any given moment.
yeah, they're completely untrustworthy, so,
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, they're just bad people, bad to have around. I think stand up for yourself, take action. If it makes sense to, leave that situation, um, hey, I've got another meeting I got to get to. Sometimes that works. You can
Mhm.
regroup, think about it, put the right tactics in place, but don't be the victim. You got to find a way to stand up
Yeah. I agree.
because they're relying on you being the victim.
Yeah. You cannot let them take you out.
Yeah. Oh, not
You
at all.
have to stand up for yourself and make sure that they know that you are not the one. That is what I say privately to myself all the time.
Yeah. And I think,
I am not the one to be messed with.
no, no. I mean, you're the nicest person, but you do stand your ground, right?
Yes, absolutely. Absolutely. That's probably one of the biggest things that people have said to me the most is you need to be meaner to people. You smile too much. You're too nice. They're going to run all over you. But I think people understand that there's a balance and that
Mhm.
they'll get the balance, Terry. They get the smiles and all of the support and the love and the help that they need. But when we come to a crossroads where, maybe things are going in an area where they don't need to go, I
Yep.
don't have a problem letting people know.
No, that's the perfect balance. That's the perfect balance. I'm totally with you. You got to take a
Yeah,
stand. You just do.
yeah, yeah.
And the
You really
sooner
do.
you take it, the better.
Yeah. And people, when you find a person that is a real human and not just some person that, we'll talk about those sociopaths and
We're going to get to that.
psychopathic persons, but when you find people that are real and genuine people, they respect you when you stand up for yourself and you say, no, you're not going to just walk all over me. And you do it in a professional way. You
Mhm.
really get the respect of people.
You do. And it does come down to respect.
Yeah.
Ultimately, if they respect you, you're going to fare much better around them than others. And they respect people who stand up to them. They do.
Yeah. Yeah.
They've
Yeah.
learned over time
Yeah.
who they can bully, who they can't.
And, like we said before, they're not going to bully that person that they feel is their superior, but they will most certainly bully that person that they feel is a threat.
Mhm.
So you have to recognize that they may just be bullying you because they feel like you're a threat. So another way to diffuse that is to take the threat off the table.
Mhm.
Whatever it is that you can, sometimes you can figure it out that they think that I want their position or they think that I'm trying to undermine them. I've diffused that by just going straight and hitting it right on the head. I don't want your position. I
Yeah.
am here to help you. I am not trying to undermine you. I'm on the same team with you. And
Mm.
sometimes that will diffuse it enough where people can begin to listen and pay attention and say, oh, okay, then maybe she can help. How, I'll stop harassing her and actually let her help.
No, you do a great job of standing up for yourself. There's no question. And I think people could misread the fact you're friendly with that they could steamroll you, but that isn't happening.
Yeah. They learn.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Well, listen, Tara, any other thoughts? I mean, people need to stand up for themselves, they don't have to be the brunt of other people's, negative actions and behaviors. That's
Yeah.
for sure.
Yeah. Yeah. I think we've hit it on the head. You really do have to just stand up for yourself.
Yeah.
And if necessary, take someone with you, have a neutral party to go with you. But you do have to stand up for yourself, and it has to be you. You can't rely on somebody else to do it
No.
for you. Other people in the room will feel sympathetic towards you and want to help, but you really do have to stand up for yourself. It's going to come down to you. You will have
Yeah.
to make that stand.
And actually, if you start standing up for yourself, they're more likely to come in and, be, an aid in that situation than
Yeah.
if you're not defending yourself,
Yeah.
right? Because that opens
Yeah.
the door to them coming in and siding with you, saying, hey, listen, this is unproductive. Let's move on. What you're doing isn't helping the situation here. We got to resolve XYZ, whatever
Yeah.
it might be.
Yeah. So we know what to do with these corporate bullies. We know how to stand up for ourselves. We're not going to let them have the final say. We will. And I think we have hit this one on the head.
I think so. So listen, you could deal with all these personality types. And by the way,
Yeah.
there is a ton of information on all of these available. They've done research on these. There's a workplacebullying.org, I think, is one of the sites you can go to, which is the Workplace Bullying Institute. There's all sorts of material out there where you can actually find things. So I encourage anybody who is a victim of bullying, is wondering what to do about it, to go do a little more research on their own, because there is a lot of very good information, great tactics. But you can deal with them and you can do it successfully. You don't have to be the victim. You don't have to put up with it.
Right. That is exactly right.
And that's the message. End the bullies. All right,
Yes.
Tara. Great
All
show.
right.
Till next time. Thank
All
you so
right. Next
much.
time.
All
All
right,
righty.
bye.